Welcome to Startup Diaries, sponsored by Point-Click Technologies. My name is Zainab Cisse, and this is a new series highlighting 10 Gambian founders and their startup stories. Each episode has an in-depth interview with the founder, highlighting their ups and downs throughout their journey. Whether you're in the Gambia or somewhere out there in the diaspora, this show is for you. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out. If you have any questions or comments, please put them down below, as we would love to hear from you. Enjoy the show.
My name is Beran Dondeh Gillen. I'm from the Gambia, born and bred. Name of my startup is The Hub, and it's located on Caraba Avenue. We founded The Hub. I'm a co-founder. I have another co-founder called Mustafa Kebe, based in the US. And we founded The Hub in 2019, in October to be precise, right around COVID. And what we do at The Hub is a series of things. We started as a co-working space, but that kind of snowballed into incubation. We also do a lot of trainings. We do a lot of academies for robotics and digital literacy, and a whole lot of other things. Maybe co-working space was maybe, I would say, originally what we started off with, but really what drove us to come up with The Hub was to really have a space where young people could be able to leverage on technology. Anyone who knows me knows I love tech in all aspects. And what really drove us to choose The Hub and to really set it up as the space that it is today is to allow young people to be able to play around with technology, to be able to learn new things, to be able to be exposed to these experiences that we didn't really get. I got into tech by mistake. I always say that because it wasn't my first choice. I wanted to be a doctor, and then I wanted to be a lawyer, and then I couldn't decide. But here I am now, and a lot of my classmates dropped off along the way. And I think for me, really, it's all about what you're exposed to. That's part of what really molds you as an individual, both in your professional career as well as in your personal one. And I think those two are intertwined in some way. It was tough because it was right before COVID hit. We started in October 2019, but we didn't officially open our doors until July 2020 because we just couldn't. I mean, we would open and then shut down and open and then. So it was quite a rocky start. I would say our first full operations was in 2021. Like I said earlier, co-working was a part of it, but it wasn't really our main goal. Our main goal was, let's create a space where kids can come in. It's for me, really, my target was more kids and then high school students, because you get them young, it's easy to be able to mold them to really, and be able to get them to be inspired. And once they're inspired, they're able to create amazing products and platforms. And I think for us, it was rocky, but then when we tried out the robotics, it was very popular with the kids. They loved it, they enjoyed it. But what we also realized was that led us to create another suite of services, which is the digital literacy, because we realized a lot of these children love robotics, but they didn't have the foundation they needed to be able to go into robotics. And that's how we created the digital literacy element, where we first introduced them to the platforms, and then we build up on there and get them to program and then build robots. I think for me, one advantage I had was I've been in the ecosystem for a long time. And that being said, I have participated in a lot of different fora and a lot of different programs across Gambia. And I think that really gave me insight, not necessarily probably doing your traditional market research, but I had a pretty good idea of what would really be something that people would love to see. And that paid off when we did our robotics program. We had such attraction that we were reached out to by the UNDP Accelerator Lab that then rolled it out nationwide, and we were able to touch on all regions of Gambia and be able to introduce robotics in partnership with the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. We started with social media because that's usually the go-to place, but then we realized that our target market, the people that we really want to actually come to the hub, the people that we want to leverage on these platforms, don't actually have access to social media, don't actually have access to internet. So then what we decided to do was kind of, how would I say, pivot, so to speak. And we decided to reach out to the schools individually. We reached out to the schools through IT associations. We spoke to the likes of St. Joseph's High School, which is the only girls' high school in Gambia. We reached out to the likes of Marina, Sibek. So schools like that we reached out to. And what we did was we sort of put our suite of services and our products together and shared it with them. And they were able to share that. You see a lot of the schools were online during this time. A lot of them were doing either Google Classrooms or Edmodo or some other platform they were using to teach the kids. So that kind of benefited us in a way because they were able to share our flyers and really share our links to these programs. We also reached out to schools like Al Furqan, and we had a lot of students from Al Furqan because they also were interested in the extracurricular activities in ICT that they couldn't get because of the way their program of schedule for the kids was structured. So it was a little bit of a mix, online, offline, word of mouth. We did a little bit of radio. We did a little bit of TV. So it's a complete mix. I think the only thing we didn't do was billboards. For me, the fun part was decorating the space, putting the colors together because I love colors, as you can see the way I'm dressed. Very pinky. I love colors, and I really wanted a place where when people come in, they want to stay. A place where when people come in, they feel vibrant and they feel like they're in a fun atmosphere. So if you look around the hub, you'll see a lot of colors, and I deliberately chose orange and blue and electric blue just to really have that fun, vibrant sense. Setting up wasn't easy. This space was actually all demarcated when we took it over. I pulled down all the walls, and it was a completely open space, and then I redesigned the entire space to what it is today. So my landlord came in here and said, "What did you do to my space?" Because they didn't recognize what it was before and what it is now. But I believe in open space. It is the new thing. It's the new norm. And really, it creates a sense of brotherhood, so to speak, because you get to really know the people that are in the space, because you're all in the same space. So you have to talk to each other, right? And it creates a sense of really belonging. And we've really built, I would say, a family at the hub, so to speak, whether it is the ones that are coming once a week, every 6 months because they travel here, or the ones that are permanently here. We actually have a really good return when it comes to the people that use the space that don't live in Gambia but come back. They come back often, and they always come back to the hub. I love to laugh, and I love having fun. And that's a priority for me and my team. And anyone that walks into the hub, you don't want to leave because there's always something funny going on, or someone cracking a joke. And I think for me, as much as the technical aspects of being able to do your job and being able to be up to the task was important, I think second to that was you needed to enjoy what you were doing. You needed to really have fun being here and not wanting to go. And I think that was for me number two. And then I think third would be really being able to leverage on the platforms that we use. If you don't have the technical skills, we train you, and you have to be ready to be trained. And I think my team is quite diverse. I have a barista because we have a cafe, and she started as a barista and making coffee, but now she does amazing at all other kinds of things. She's working on a digital literacy training program. I mean, she helps us a little bit with accounts. The accountant is teaching her a few things here and there. So it's really, I look for versatility as well. I look for people who can really just adapt and be able to learn quickly on the job and have fun in the process. It's all about fun, because when you're having fun, you don't really want to stop. You want to keep going. We have a shareholder structure. So we have shareholders in the company. And in Gambia, you don't, well, I'm not a legal professional, but the options aren't quite many when it comes to really setting up a company. But we consulted our legal partners and advisors, and they advised for a shareholding structure. That's what we currently have. But most of the other companies and startups, when they do startup, they start up a sole proprietorship, and then obviously they evolve into a shareholding structure with directors, which is what we do have. So we do have contracts with the people that are using the space, obviously, but more for long term than short term. We have rules that govern the space, of course, when it comes to using the space. We expect all of our users to follow those rules. But it's been quite good, I would say. When it comes to partnerships, we do partner with companies and individuals, and with that comes the NDAs and the contracts. But primarily, we work a lot with existing institutions and associations, so it's quite easy to kind of maneuver that because it's very straightforward. Working with individuals hasn't really been something we've done. Most of our interactions have been with either NGOs, the public sector, or privately owned individuals. We have worked with freelancers, and that's been a bit simple because it's been under another umbrella of an NGO. Regarding the space, short-term lets we don't really contract out because it's a very short period, 1 week, 2 weeks, a month max, but we do have something for our longer-term space users, like the ones in the dedicated area where they are there for about 6 months to a year. Sources of funding, initially, personally for the hub, the sources of funding have been strictly from my co-founder and I. From the beginning, and as at now, we do have different business models that we work with. One is through grants that we work with institutions that provide grants, and then through that grant, we're able to work with the target audience that we identify through the proposals that we put forth. We don't do loans. I don't do loans, but we do lots of grants, and we also do partnerships. So an example of a partnership that we're currently working on is with Gamchicks, and what we do is they would bring a proposal to us, and then we would partner with them and provide certain parts of the partnership. They bring on board also certain parts, and then we identify a group of people that we would want to train. In this case, our partnership was on digital literacy training for high school dropouts, and specifically targeting female high school dropouts. And what we would do is we would do a call for applications together, and then we would scout for 25 or 50 female high school dropouts, and then we would bring them in over a 2-3 month period. We would provide digital literacy training. And this is in line with the hub, and really what its core essence of why we created it is, which is to benefit the community around it. It may be a for-profit, but it operates more like a non-profit. Oh, I don't even know where to start. Internet, electricity. For me, luckily, human resource wasn't much of a challenge. Thankfully, because of the network I have, I was really able to reach out and really build an amazing team. And so that wasn't really a challenge. Recruitment wasn't a challenge on my part. So I think the challenge was more along internet, electricity being stable, and really trying to set up secondary sources of internet and electricity should in case the primary ones go down. That was a huge challenge. And also initially just selling the whole idea of co-working. This was completely new in Gambia. People are used to staying at home, drinking their coffee, and working from wherever they're working from. So trying to sell that idea that you can walk into the hub and rent a desk. Why would I want to rent a desk? I have a table at home. Why would I want to pay for Wi-Fi? I have Wi-Fi at home. So we had to sell something else. We had to sell the experience. We had to sell the camaraderie, the relationships you build, both personal as well as professional. And I think that was a real challenge, is just breaking that barrier of really getting people to understand that the hub is not just a space where you can come and plug in your laptop. I'm running out of it. It's a community. And that was my biggest challenge, and I'm still battling with it. So we were able to pivot as a business because we realized that some of the services that we were ready to offer the market just wasn't ready for. And we had to pivot and really bring things that we felt were valuable that the market was asking for. Because remember, through all these challenges, you kind of do ad hoc market research in the process. So you kind of tend to understand, okay, this is what people want. They don't want this, they want this. they don't need this, they need this. And then in that role of analyzing all of the requests and requirements that people were putting to us, we were able to pivot and really create a new bouquet of services that really focuses a lot on training, and not necessarily technical training. We'll do a little bit of technical training, but more on also soft skills, which people were asking for, which aren't very readily available in the market. And this is something that we're also doing in partnership with a lot of our other partners, like Sering Omarlo is a partner to the hub that works with us very closely when it comes to these soft skills training. And we get a lot of good feedback from these. And then also we partner with the likes of the Gambia Angel Investment Network to really just bring to light these new areas of the entrepreneurship ecosystem that aren't really very much tapped on by the tech companies, the startups, as well as the investors themselves. In 5 years, I would want the hub to not just be at Kairaba Avenue. I would want the hub to at least have one extra space somewhere else. And ideally, for me, looking at how I'm a social entrepreneur, I would want it to be somewhere completely outside the Greater Banjul area, because that is in line with my vision of what I really want for the hub. So in 5 years' time, I would want the hub to continue on this pipeline of creating amazing services, targeting our youth, and really being able to bring value to the entrepreneurship landscape. I would want us to be an accelerator in the next year and a half that would really be able to bring investment opportunities for companies that really need it now but can't reach them for one reason or another. And eventually, I would want to create an academy for young students coming out of high school, a pipeline that would really give them the skills that they need, that doesn't necessarily tie them to a university degree. I think that is really something that I yearn for, to really be able to allow children, young adults, to be able to explore their creativity talents outside of academia. I mentioned earlier that really this 2021 has been a year that we've been fully operational. So a lot of things have been put in perspective. A lot of products and services have been dropped. A lot of new products and services have been created. So I think that vision is still there, but that road to that vision may change along the way. We may take some side shortcuts to get to that vision. But essentially, I think the dream still remains the same, which is to just create a space where, young people can come in and be able to have access, not only to the technology, but to people that can actually introduce them to a whole new world that they can't land in that classroom. I think for the startups, maybe the words will be different depending on the target audience. So for the startups, dust yourself off and pick back up every time you fall, because you're going to fall many times, and it's going to be a very, very tough road. But I think you have something that we didn't have when we started. There's a lot of buzz in the ecosystem, is thriving, a lot of talk about investment opportunities. The angel investors are coming in. You have a lot of events that are happening. We didn't have that. We had to kind of find our way and teach ourselves all these things. So right now, when you sit and you're worrying, what is Series A, raising capital, what is equity, what is all these things, you know the doors that you can knock on. You can go to GAIN, you can go to iTag, you can go to so many different areas. You come to the hub, you can go to Disruptive Lab, the startup incubator. These are all spaces that are available to startups to be able to really just learn about their entrepreneurship journey. And I think one of the takeaways I want the startups to have from this program, especially from me, is to really learn along the way. And I think we kind of sometimes want to just high jump certain steps. You can't high jump certain steps. You learn along the way, and then you keep moving. And I think that's really my advice for the startups. And for the diaspora that want to come in, I think just nosedive right in. Sometimes that's what you need to do. But I think you can start with baby steps and attend some of the events that we organize. We organize a lot of events now, whether it's Disruptive Lab that's organizing, or iTag, or the hub. Keep your eyes peeled and your ears open. Attend the events, know what's happening in the ecosystem, invest $1,000, invest $2,000, follow a startup, know their journey, and I think that would really be able to pull you in and tie you down so that you can get committed to the ecosystem. It's an amazing ecosystem. It's still very young. There's lots that can be done, Now I'm selling Gambia. So you guys need to come home.